Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Aw, sexy girlfriend. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? That stab in the dark you were after the other day? That little voice in the back of your head that was screaming, he's got a lady boy girlfriend, was correct, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a girl. I'm a lady boy. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Susan. Do you like to see my nipples? Well, it turns out that your assumption was correct because we have a transgendered boyfriend for the killer. Whip-de-doo. Who couldn't have guessed that one, right? Who didn't see this coming? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cashel is in the house. And I think he is in our 50th state. Soon not to be at the bottom of the seniority pile because I think we're going to take on 4 more states. Killer Fuzz is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to let you know that you were right. You were right. The killer's got a transgendered boyfriend or it friend. Let's just call it an it friend at this time. You know, I watched a very disturbing reacted video today. And it was the gentleman, I don't remember his name, but he's got a super hot little mousy wife that I'm going to guess is about 4'9" soaking wet. Hello! That little brunette. And he posted a very disturbing 15-minute video. And even he, and I believe it was his pastor or a well-known pastor that he interviewed, and the minister, he called him a minister, and the minister said that the time for tolerance is over. And I don't know. I know that's a spectrum of ideas. But today in Japan, tens of thousands of people marched for Charlie Kirk. And in Britain, over 1 million people showed up to march for Charlie Kirk. And America, 3 guys talked about it in a tavern, drinking Coors Light. I don't think we did much about it today. I could be wrong. Carolyn says he was asked about trans killer but was shot before he could answer. Right. And what do you know? Just because that time has passed doesn't mean it's time for... Yeah. I'm not sure I'm saying that. I'm saying that the tolerance is over. The tolerance was over 10 years ago when they stopped debating us in Congress, because that forces civil wars. And I'm not for war, and I don't like violence, but either America's gone or we have to do some very drastic shit that the Constitution specifically says that we can do in times like this. And nobody wants to do it. I mean, it's really not hard to pick out a 220-pound, 6'2" person with a 5 o'clock shadow and a wig on trying to walk into a bathroom after your 9-year-old daughter walked in. Those are easy to spot. I'm not sure. In the least, they must be removed or given their own state or their own country. And that was my original. That was the only way I could see keeping this from getting kinetic originally, is I said, let's just divide the country up. And nobody wants California, and they'd all love California, and just give them California. I'm sure they'll all fit in there, because truly it's a grossly insignificant number of people who are causing all these problems, and most of them wouldn't be causing the problems if they weren't on a payroll, like many of our politicians. And on that note, let's watch like a 48-second video.
Sorry, I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of in the mouth.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
I said if we were in high school, I'd take you behind the gym and beat the hell out of them.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
So, at the least, these people who are setting the fire, to use Gavin Newsom's terms, the most humane way maybe we could deal with this is to remove these people in the kindest way, in a very forceful and kind way, in a way, at a level of force where it only takes one attempt. And I'm not saying hurt anyone. We can do this. It will be a physical removal, but the only way to save America is to remove the voices that you just heard that are stirring the pot. The public, the crazy, insane, Trump deranged syndrome Americans are not at fault. They are the victims. And messing with victims doesn't solve any problems, because new victims are born every day. And unfortunately, they're graduating from high school every year. And we don't have Charlie Kirk anymore to help open eyes to the truth. But as the gentleman from Redacted said, and the minister on his show said, is that there is no tolerance. Time is over. Violating the rights of a young girl in a bathroom to enable a man with gender dysphoria time is over. And I would say Trump has less than a month to put the Soros family in handcuffs, or shit's going to get bad. I don't even think he's got a month. I think he's got till Friday. Now, something very interesting, if you follow 107, I was watching Nino, and I am enjoying watching him grow, although I do see him on poor paths sometimes. But 107 said last Friday that this week we would see some action. And I'm sure he was not talking about the Charlie Kirk incident. And maybe whatever action he was talking about either never was going to happen or never will happen. My personal opinion on 107 is that he is put out there to say stuff, counter spy information. He is there to give information to force the enemy to move in certain directions. And I felt that really early on. But he did indicate that this Friday or this week that we have just ended, being Saturday, the last 7 days, we would have seen something take place that would ensure us that we are in control and things are getting fixed. And I did not see that. How you doing, Michigan? So I am going to keep this short. But I did want to put out there, yes, we do have the female shirter. I'm sure you know about that. But the fact that all of the major channels, not all, a lot of the major channels are now saying that tolerance time is over. But what does that look like? I know the way it has to look like, and just like you, I'm trying to think of every other possibility. In my opinion, it is a military issue, and it has to be dealt with swiftly, but sending troops to St. Louis to arrest a bunch of lifelong criminals is kind of a waste of time when they're just going to be back out on the street. The glimmer of hope that I do have is that Trump did say he was bringing in military judges and attorneys to act as judges for the number of arrests that he expects to do when he enters these big blue cities. But truly, he's taken the long road again, when the short road is just go after the head of the snake and don't worry about the tail so much. But I think we all feel it in our gut, in our stomach, in our chest, that the time for tolerance, it's not good anymore. And there is no more tolerance, and we cannot remain victim. So a foreign political organization can dismantle the Constitution. So I don't mean to be a bummer. We have had victories. The murder of Charlie Kirk has been heard around the world, and I knew that right away because when I first started searching for information on his murder, for the first time ever on YouTube, I had, in the first 50 results, I had 40 results that were not even in English. And they were in every language imaginable. And the whole world, the whole conservative world, the whole patriot world, has been deeply affected by the death of Charlie Kirk. Ass whoopings, that's the only thing I could think of. Or, you know, why you could say arrest them. You just have to outnumber their bodyguards to arrest them. But then we got to feed Ilhan Omar. It's catapult time, and let God see if they could swim a couple miles in the ocean. Yeah, it has to come to it. But the RICO that Donald Trump is talking about is huge. I mean, we know that there are communications between all these Republican and Democrat politicians who are taking money from the Soros Foundation, I believe. But if we got our hands on those communications, we'd have a beautiful RICO case. But it can't go on like this for another 4 years. In the direction that we're headed, like I said before, unless we go to paper ballots by 2026, the revolution's going to happen, I'd say July of next summer, 100%. I would say, if you have spare money, to put it aside maybe buy some, canned goods and pick off the back of the shelf, because they do put it in order of the time that the food expires. So if you're buying corn, reach deep and back on the shelf and pull something off the shelf there, because there's no way we can get out of this without, you can't keep, at some point, you got to take your hands from behind your back when you're getting punched. At some point, you got to put your dukes up. There is no dad in the history of dads that ever told their son to go take a fucking beating at school and not do anything about it. That's not what America does. And if we were all in our 1980s mindset, we would have nipped this shit in the bud a long time ago. So I do find it concerning that very, 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 very big names are saying, okay, it's go time. I don't know what go time means, but when it goes, it has to go off like 1,000 sticks of dynamite from sea to shining sea. It has to be one swift movement in the period of a day or a weekend. It has to be swift and fast. And we don't, by any means, need to get kinetic with the trans community or the 30-year-old single cat ladies. Not that that's a bad thing under some or half the circumstances. But, blue-haired, nose pierced in the center of the septum or whatever it's called. We don't need to get kinetic with them because they calm down when they're silenced, when their leaders are silenced, when the media. I know how we could silence the media, or someone can silence, not us, but someone. Every single station has a tower. And if every station, the problem here is the media. 100% of the problem is the news media that these people consume. That is the heart of the problem, literally. That is the heart of the organization that has turned against us. And it could be simply done by taking out towers to silence them. I'm not saying do that. I'm just trying to find a way out of this without it needing to be a really, really bloody revolution or civil war. And you guys know for the longest time I said there's never going to be a civil war. There'll be a revolution. But here we are. And people have been backed into the corner. And those people, even ministers, are saying, it's time. It's all over now. It's time to get kinetic. And it would only be a distraction to fight the people that you see here on the top of the screen. Those are the victims. And then below here, we see Gavin Newsom, and he is the instigator, or one of them. Spanky says hi. Mama Nose says, Mr. Brown says hi. Sexy girlfriend. Long hair Scorpio says, long duck dong. I think we need a t-shirt. I'm going to make a long duck dong t-shirt because I love long duck dong. Oh, you're pretty. You must have all the boys after you. Brian Griffin says, Towers of Babel. Yes. And Michigan says, I have always wanted to. Shit hit the fan and I'm gonna timber. So as Even Redacted has posted 2 videos saying that the time for tolerance is gone. The gentleman that I posted with the big giant mustache like my own, but with muscles below his chin, if you didn't see that video, that gentleman says that the first move in a civil war, God forbid there is one, would be to take out the media. And I think he was more referring to the people in the media. But I think silencing them electronically, I don't know what a big bullet would do to a television tower. I have no idea. I know those batteries in that building below the tower are very valuable, and are the key to that thing running. Make Aloha great again, Sparky. Actually, Mama Knows, who's in the chat, just got back and sent me a ton of video, including a helicopter ride that she took over Lahaina, and showed how it looks like a desert. It looks like either a desert or a neighborhood on the south side of Chicago where all the houses have been torn up and grass is growing up where the basement used to be. It's awful. So I do want to say in this somber time that other ideas must prevail, but I do think that defensive militias, only defensive militias, should be considered, or at least a plan that you'd have with people nearby you. We just can't let this happen again. You know, the good news I did hear is the guy in North Carolina who killed that Ukrainian woman. The Aryan Brotherhood is waiting for him to come into the prison population. And they have said that he'll be dead. The Colorado prison system is such that this gentleman that you see above next to his boyfriend who killed Charlie Kirk already has a mark on his head, and whatever gang kills him in prison gets credit. Like, it's just a credit thing. Like, you know, those are the Crips. Those are the ones that killed that high value target. So this guy is going to be killed based on the crime he committed being so heinous. And the Utah prison system specifically is very little of it is black or Hispanic. I think there's only one gang, I can't remember the name of it, in their prison system, one or two gangs that are not Caucasian. So this guy, one of them is called the Aryan Race, and the other one is called the Silent Aryan Brotherhood, I think. And then there's a third one and they're all cool with each other. They all have agreements, so to speak, I guess, in the Utah prison system. But if this guy does live, I'm also told that he will not be privileged to a TV set or a iPad for at least 10 years. And you might ask yourself, well, why the hell would they let a prisoner have a TV or have a tablet or a phone? And it's called, when you give a prisoner privileges, you can take them away as a punishment. So it actually keeps the prisoners in line better if they have access to a video game console and the newest game. And it makes sense to me, because it's like, you lose your TV, we're taking your TV out of your room, you messed up. And they tend not to mess up because they're stuck in prison for their life, and it's gonna suck without a TV. So I actually think that's a good one, but I guess one of the gangs is willing to lose their if the guards can figure out who did it. But both these gentlemen are marked, and they are awaiting. people are awaiting their entrance into the system. And if you didn't see, the gentleman here who killed Charlie Kirk is wearing what they call a turtle suit, which is just it's like an apron that goes down to your knees, and it's heavy, it's weighted with sand, and you don't get no underpants, and you don't get no socks, and you don't get no shoes. And they say that that's the worst position to be in, because on the floor in the prison, in the hallway, is the leftovers of very horny prisoners. Ban trans. Yeah. See, they're dealing with gender dysphoria, and there's a political group who is enabling their illness and instilling in them that their illness, that they need to express their illness, and it needs to affect the rest of us. See, that's what we're really dealing here with. So when we cut off the head of the snake that's telling them that they are welcome to step into a bathroom that they were not born into, then we have a big problem. And when we have them beating the shit out of girls half their weight in high school sports, we have a problem. But they're not the problem. You know, it's just like taking somebody with mental retardation and punishing them because the teacher didn't stop, continually let him pull his pants down in front of the girls. We had one of those in our school, but he wasn't actually mentally retarded, but he was messed up, that's for sure. So you can't really, you got to kind of remove the teacher that's letting him pull his pants down and not reprimanding him for showing his self to the girls in the classroom. Sure, he's going to get spoken to, or, but really the problem is that teacher. And mental retardation and gender dysphoria have a lot in common. They're both brain diseases, and they both affect the ability to conceive the reality the way we see it. I'm not saying that mentally retarded. Actually, for years I said that a Down syndrome person would make the best president, because they just they're real matter of fact. You can get should we cut down all these trees? Should we sell all our farmland to China, or should we keep it? And then the Down syndrome guy goes, we should keep our farmland. Why would we sell it to China? See, they have that basic common sense. They may not be good at math. They may not be able to write a novel, but when it comes down to what's good and what's bad, they know it. And that's their baseline. And we lost that baseline, a long time ago, as supposedly people with working brains. Little Tyler is gay. Yeah, he is gay. But the only thing I'm wondering is, who's on top? I don't think it's Tyler. Something's telling me Tyler's not. Tyler's on the receiving end of any celebration that they have. I don't know. The world can't get any more crazy. Our children, 18-year-olds, are being seriously affected by this right now. Not just mine. Boys, girls, my offspring's friends. This whole incident with Charlie Kirk has brought up a mound of other shit. And we can't allow, because we're not feeling it so much, because we're from the 80s and we knew what life was like. But these 18-year-olds are just learning what being an American is like. being an adult in America today, if you never experienced it before, we are in such a fucked up place. We are in such an awfully messy place. And we can't allow them to use the plight of the weak to enable the weak, to empower the weak to believe things that are not true. And the most humane way to fix this problem is to cut off the head of the snake. And those are the people who are verbally perpetuating this ugliness. And we're going to end on that. Quavik is gay. I am from the year 1981. Okay. Okay, Martello, I'm going to email you the winning lottery tickets for December 1st, 1982. And when you win, you'll have to write me a check for half and put it in your pocket until you reach the year 2025. Half of it belongs to me. I've already figured out this winning the lottery thing, and it's time travel. For instance, I bought a lottery ticket in Henderson, Kentucky. Wait, how's this go? Okay, drop it. It's a joke. Okay, it's a bet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you all a beautiful evening. It is about to get kinetic. I would not be surprised if a shitload of stuff went wrong. I am praying that Donald Trump, that 107 on Nino's Corner is correct when he says some arrests were going to be made at the end of last week, the same day Charlie Kirk died. My biggest fear is 107 got half the story and he was told something big is going to happen at the end of the week. And he relayed it as arrests were going to be made at the end of the week. And it was Charlie that he was unknowingly telling us about, because I'm still sitting here waiting for the arrest that 107 said was going to happen 2 or 3 days ago. So that's what I'm going to be hoping for next week, because something has to give. And the president has to know that we are literally a pubic hair away from disaster. And here's the thing. Our side won the last Civil War. I think we could do it again. I think we could go 2-0 in a Civil War situation, because if we just take off our red hats, they couldn't identify us from anything. If we all dyed our hair purple, they wouldn't see us coming. It's too easy. If you put my big fat ass in a dress, I could infiltrate anywhere, into any transgendered gun club. I could. Hello, my name is Susan. Do you like to see my nipples? All right, we're going to end on these politicians, some of the stuff you've seen and some of the stuff you haven't. Peace and love worldwide, my fellow Americans. I care about the joy and happiness of you and your immediate family. Nino said it was delayed due to, thank God. All right, thank you, Mama Knows. I'm glad to hear that. God and good always win. Michigan says, Miss Swampy says she wants to see that red. All right, amen. Here, let's watch. I'm going to turn my mic off.
Sorry, I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of in the mouth.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
I said if we were in high school, I'd take you behind the gym and beat the hell out of them.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is.
Do you think Donald Trump?
Hold on. Just today or yesterday, after Charlie Kirk's death, Obama came out and said, if you're angry, I want you to stay angry. Obama literally said that. And I think that's kind of the icing on the cake. All right. Juan's had some problems, but all senses firing. Let me say this. I said at the beginning of this, before you weren't here, so it's not fair, that I have felt since very early in the 107 days that he's here specifically to give misinformation to throw off the other side. I've had to do that a couple times myself when I had the big channel. I had to say things on purpose to throw off the opponents, to throw off the black hats. And well, one, to throw off the black hats, and two, because Christina, I forget her last name, the Asian woman, she appeared in the Doors film as one of the girls that slept with whoever's playing Jim Morrison. And she was taking my stuff every day, and I was coming up with stuff from the horse's mouth at the time, not anymore. And she would repeat verbatim what I said. So what I said was, I said the story opposite and backwards. And it was about Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg dumping a lot of stock. And I said a couple of key phrases that I knew she would repeat. And she's dead now. She died while traveling with Michael Jaco along with Froggy News. 5 by 5. That's where we get 5 by 5 from when you hear us say it, from Froggy News. If you've never heard of Froggy, put Froggy News in and you'll see a skinny guy and a fat guy. And go ahead and watch it, even though it's 5 years old. Go ahead and watch 10 minutes there. It's definitely entertaining. So, so Christina, or Kristen, she pronounced Christina differently. She was ripping me off every morning, and I tricked her to. I put out a bad story on purpose. I put it out backwards. All right, peace and love worldwide. Have a beautiful Saturday night. Go give your loved one a hug. Go give your bride a hug. And I'll tell you what, guys, if you're married, I just started a channel on TikTok called Men's Fraternity. And on that channel, I'm going to teach 18-year-old guys how to meet girls, how to talk to girls. I'm going to teach guys who think they're 6 months away from a divorce when they're probably really about 4 weeks. I'm going to teach, I could save half those marriages. I know how to do it. I've been in a group called the Men's Fraternity. I actually was in it. I cycled through it for 2 years, and it's a 1-year program. I did it twice. And I can help you guys who are absolutely up shit creek. And I'm definitely going to help 18-year-old boys, 20-year-old, 21, 30-year-old boys who've never kissed a girl, how to break the ice without getting a defensive reaction, by getting a knee-jerk positive reaction. And it works every time. I've been using it every time I've been attracted to a woman. I use it, and it works. It doesn't work on, getting me married, but it works on getting me a conversation with someone that I'm attracted to, if not more. But nonetheless, I'm going to teach the boys how to do it. They do it a couple dozen times, and they might meet their wife. And that, right now, I do have a heart for that. I've been thinking about that for 5 years. I'm very concerned about these young men not engaging with women. When I was engaging with women when I was like 9, not kissing them or anything, but having crushes and, flirting with older women, maybe what I thought was women, but probably only a 16-year-old. But, I'm going to teach you how to get that pot, because I've done it so many times. I live the life of, if you hit on 100 women, 3 will give you a positive reaction. I've worked with those odds, but I know how to bypass those odds. So tell your young ones you might want to listen to this men's fraternity guy, because I'm not teaching these kids how to get laid. I'm teaching these guys how to find wives. Peace and love worldwide. Live your life before your life lives you, and keep on smiling. And Sparky says, I said you have... Oh, I got a couple more, so it popped up. One is full of... I said hi. I was married 41 years before she passed. Amen. That's the way I wish I could have did it. That's for sure. Anyways, I'm sorry to hear that. That's... You feel it kind of when you hear people say stuff like that. Along when people say, I can't even look at Charlie Kirk's kids because it kills me to look at those kids. It hurts so bad. I feel the same way. If you didn't see the video Charlie Kirk's wife put out of her crying and kissing Charlie's dead hands, I would recommend you go find that. I do have it. I might post it later. Good night, all.